Salve, beginning lesson 5, starting in line 180, going to 186 here. In Latin, Aeneas scopulinterea conscendit, et omnem prospectum late pelago petit, antea si quem iactatum vento videat, purgiasque biremes, aut capun, aut celsis in pupibus arma caeci. Okay, we'll stop there and let's translate. Subject is Aeneas. Aeneas conscendit. He climbs or he ascends. Scopulum, a rock, a cliff. And an adverb in here, interea, meanwhile. So, meanwhile, Aeneas climbs a cliff, and another verb that goes with Aeneas, he petit, he seeks. The omnem prospectum, those go together. Omnem prospectum late pelago. He seeks the whole view, pelago, to the sea. I think Farr says this is a dative of direction towards. So the whole view towards the sea. Late, we saw this earlier as an adverb here, far and wide or widely. Latus, the adjective, means wide. And when you take a us, type first and second declension adjective and you want to make it into an adverb, you just make it an E. Late. So this is, latus is is wide as an adjective, and late, widely, or far and wide, we would probably say in English. Aeneas, meanwhile, climbs a cliff, and he seeks the whole view towards the sea. And I said that was dative, right? So let's make it beige here. Toward the sea. It really means like in pelagum, toward the sea. Late, far and wide. And remember, he's climbing the cliffs over this harbor where the ships are. And he's checking out the area around this harbor they found that's in North Africa, which they are not aware of yet. If he can videat, here's your verb that's going to be your main verb in this next section. If he can see, if he might see, it's a subjunctive, videat. Normally it's videt. It's a second conjugation, videt. And the second conjugation in the present subjunctive changes to ea, so videat. And the subjunctive idea is expressed here, if he might be able to see. If he might be able to see. He may see something, he may not. So it's not an indicative sense that he is seeing something that's grounded in reality. He might see something or he might not see it. And since there's this unknown quality about it, we're using the subjunctive here with this if. So if he might be able to see, quem means anything. This is really aliquem. But when words that have ali, which means any, basically, are used with a C, then the Latin speakers take off the ali, and it just says si quem. So you don't say si aliquem, you just say si quem. There's a little poem that goes after num si nisi ne. These are 4 different words that this happens to. After num si nisi ne, all the alis go away. So the ali just drops off. So this is not the word quem, it's the word aliquem in disguise. If he may see any antheus, and this is a Greek accusative here. Any, accusative, antheus. Let's go together. Or we would say in English, if he might see anything of Antheus. Anything of Antheus. Sounds a lot better. And Antheus yaktatum, tossed by the wind. Tossed by the wind. Okay, so that also goes with these accusatives here. Anything of Antheus, tossed by the wind. And by the wind, how was he tossed? Remember, the type of case, the case that answers how is ablative. In my blue, ablative, tossed by the wind. Now, there's several other things that he might see that go with this videad. So, if he might see any Antheus or anything of Antheus tossed by the wind, and the Phrygian biremes. Phrygian is Trojan, another name for Trojan. The area of Phrygia is where the Trojans come from. And biremes are a type of boat that has 2 ranks of oars. A trireme has, yes, you guessed it, 3 ranks of oars. So he's looking for any Phrygian biremes, his other boats. And there's some other things that he might see. Or Capys, and Capys was a loyal Trojan. He didn't want to bring the horse in. We find out in Book 2 he argued against it, so he's looking for Capys. Or, again, the arms of Caicus, and the arms meaning shields that would be arranged on his deck, Farr tells us, or the arms of Caicus on his high prows. Okay, so there's several other accusatives here. Capys is accusative. He might see Capys, or he might see the arms, and then with a genitive of Caicus. That's genitive. Tells you whose arms they are. And where are they? We have an ablative of place where. On the high prows, the high decks of his ships. So Aeneas may catch sight of this glittering armor, these shields. Okay, so one more time. Meanwhile, Aeneas ascends a cliff and seeks the whole view toward the sea, widely. If he might see, and this is going to go with all this other stuff, if he might see anything of Antheus tossed on the wind or by the wind, and the Phrygian biremes, or Capys, or the arms of Caicus on his prows, decks. Okay, he might see this stuff. Well, let's find out if he does. Navin conspectu nullam, tres litore cervos prospicit erantes, hos tota armenta secuntur, a terget longum per vales pascitur agmen. Well, we find out right away. Navem, maybe he sees a boat. In conspectu nullam, no boat. And our verb is prospicit. He sees. Navem nullam. I kind of like the delay of nullam there. Get your hopes up for a second. But it is not to be. He sees no boat. In conspectu, in sight. And you have to put in a but here. Said. But he sees, prospicit, tres cervos errantes. He does see 3 wandering deer. Okay, and so these all go together. Cervos goes with errantes. 3 wandering deer. And where are they? In litore. So that litore is in litore. So Aeneas, although he doesn't see any boats out on the sea, which is disappointing, he does see these 3 deer. And these, the Trojans need to eat, so these are food. Hos totarmenta secuntur a tergo. The subject is the tota armenta, and it's plural, whole herds of deer. Okay, secuntur, follow. Hos, these, meaning hos kervos, these deer. That refers to the 3 wandering deer. Atergo, this is ablative, from behind. Okay, from behind. Atergo, they are the leaders. So these 3 stags, kervos. And by the way, kervos are he deer, okay, not she deer. So another translation you could have for kervos are stags. They're stags. And let's finish it up here. And next new subject, et longum per vales pascitur agmen. And the agmen, the line of deer, this long line of deer, and that's a word used in military terms a lot. The longum agmen, sorry, that's a subject. The longum agmen, the long line, pascitur, grazes, think of pasture, grazes per valles, through the valleys. Through the valleys. Now, is there multiple valleys? This is probably a poetic plural here, through the valleys. One more time. He sees no boat in sight. But, I added in, and when there's a conjunction missing, we call that asyndeton. When there's more conjunctions necessary, polysyndeton. So here I thought it would be good to put in this conjunction to make it make more sense. So this is asyndeton, I would say. But he sees 3 wandering deer on the shore. Or maybe we could say 3 deer wandering on the shore. Sounds a little better. That's in litore. Whole herds follow these deer, meaning hos, that's from hic, haec, hoc. And a long, follow these deer from behind. And the long column, or the long line of them, of the deer, grazes through the valleys.